the start line there. We see the leaders up there. That's Sydney Zodiacs getting tracked down by Southern Storm.
No, that's the 9 boat for. Is it DSA or... No, we're just looking at the top there. It's a bit hard in the sunshine. Just that glisten off the water. That's 10 we see coming through. That's the Yarra River Dragons.
Yep. DSA were boat number 9. Boat number 10, the Yarra River Dragons. Getting through, and we look at boat number 12 have started as well. That's T. Walker. There is a scratching at number 11. So boat 13 is through and on the course as well, Komodo.
And the Melbourne Flames will be up next. There's a good early shot of what's going on down the course. You can see there's not a lot of spare room, so picture that in another lap's time. They'll be everywhere.
And that's boat number 16 going. That's ACDC. The Melbourne Flames are off their boat 14. Sunshine Coast 15 are on the course as well. That's boat 14, the Melbourne Flames. And boat 17, that's the last of the boats heading off now. That's the Power Blades tracking off. The back markers, they're tracking it down. So we've got around the first turn, up the top. No change in the order there. We've got Sydney Zodiacs. They're the first boat away. They're boat number 2. Southern Storm are tracking them down. Maybe caught up a few of those 12 seconds. Ride in third place coming down. They're boat number 4.
And coming up for the first time there, we can see the Zodiacs as we now cross down to the overall shot of the course there. And as Bryce alluded to, there's no real change at the moment in regards to passing, or there's a bit of movement coming here between boat number 4 and number 5, which is the Brisbane Typhoons there involved.
So Mako just getting a little wide around that top turn. DSA were taking the tight line. Mako boat number 8. Number 9 with DSA. But we look at the front now, and we've got boat number 2. That's the Sydney Zodiacs. They're out in the distance. Southern Storm, boat number 3. Ryder, boat number 4. Boat number 5, Sydney Tsunami. So it's all very even at the front. Boat number 6 is Brisbane Typhoon. They look to be making a bit of ground. There's a bit of congestion as we look up there.
As we see the Zodiacs and the Southern Storm just in our picture there. And now we go back to coming up the straight then. There's a bit of change happening here. We'll get that a little bit close, but not too far away. We'll see the first of our boats come through for the first time on the lap. And here we go here. And that's the Zodiacs. They go over the line for the first time. Not too far behind them will be the Southern Storm. They've maintained about the same margin. And it's number 4 there, Ride as well. Then it does get a little bit more interesting. We've seen for probably the first time, number 6 boat. We'll look a bit further down the course. The Brisbane Typhoons are taking on the Tsunami there, and you can see it. That's a great shot there. That's what's happening. That is the number 6 boat on the left-hand side, Typhoons. And then quickly behind them is the 7 boat too. So the Pacific Dragons are just trailing along nicely there.
Southern Storm getting around this boat number 8. That's Mako, and they're looking strong.
Yeah, they've kept the same distance behind boat number 7 there. And then number 9, 10. So after that, the order is pretty normal as they left. So not a lot of change there.
Working up the inside.
Well, there's a shot. So we've seen the early boats at the top there, which would be Zodiac and Southern Storm and Ride going around the top there. And then there's congestion. So that's Sydney Tsunami, Typhoons and Dragons were that congested group 3 coming around.
Good shot there. It's boat number 5 being pushed wide, Sydney Tsunami.
That's the number 10 boat is getting close there now. The Yarra River Dragons, we spotted them before. Komodo looked strong too. They've come through. That's a great shot. So we're seeing the back markers down the back there. Now 15, there has made up a lot of ground too. The Sunshine Coast at the moment. That's in our shot there now. Sunshine Coast making up a lot of ground. They're well ahead of the one behind them, which is ACDC, and back to the Power Blades.
Yeah, Melbourne Flames, boat number 14. They're getting down to the second turn. There's boat number 16, ACDC.
That's the shot. So if you look in the middle top there, we just lost that now, but coming back through here, and this is getting towards the finish line there.
They're the Power Blades, boat 17. Zipping around, that was boat 14, Melbourne Flames. We had a quick shot of them. They're zeroing up to Komodo, boat 13. We had a little look there, and now we're jumping right out to the front end. Now to boat 16. That's ACDC. As they go around the bottom turn there. Their second turn. ACDC 16. Powerblade 17 around as well. So this is getting most boats into the third leg now. As we look up the course, this is where the big moves get made. The back markers start picking a few off.
Yeah,
but there are some good goers up the front end that are proving to be hard to chase down.
Sydney Zodiac still lead it. They're still the first one around at the bottom end of the course. They'll turn into the home straight shortly. That's what we can see just going past them there now. That's the Zodiacs. Then it's really starting to get bunched. Have a look at this as we come down here, down the start straight for the second time. We've seen the first two boats, Zodiac and Storm, go around, and now really bunched here. Still generally in its order, but it looks like it might be the Pacific Dragons making a big move on the outside there.
Yeah, Yarra River Dragons, boat number 10, are making a good move as well up the inside. So they're setting themselves up to take that inside line as they get up to that top marker. There's boat 9. That's DSA. Mako are in front of them. The inside running as it's Sydney Tsunami just dropping back. They've had to take the wide run again. That's both corners, corner 2 and 3. They've been forced wide as those faster boats just come up the inside. It's a good picture now as they come down the home straight.
That's the Zodiacs. That was the Zodiacs coming up there. And now we're going down to the back end of the group here. There's a lot of congestion down there.
Yeah, coming up the inside. So the Tsunami are the widest boat. The boat number 9 are DSA. And coming up in between, I think it's the Yarra River Dragons, boat number 10. We're just off that picture now. You can certainly see boat 12 in the mix there. That's Tiawaka. And coming up the inside of them, it did look like maybe Melbourne Flames.
It was indeed, yes.
Yep. And the Sunshine Coast aren't far behind them. So there's a genuine congestion now at that top mark. It's just about chaos. Great shots from the drone give us the lie of the land in terms of what is happening up at that top mark. There it is. There's boats coming through the inside. That's the Melbourne Flames. It's Tsunami on the outside. They've been forced wide, unfortunately, at every turn. So they're just tracking on the outside wide part. But it is a sprint for home now. And we see number 2 there, the Sydney Zodiacs. They're clear water, and they are tracking it down.
Yeah, they've got a big margin now, whether it's enough to cover what's happening down the back of the group there with the back markers. But they are just about over the line now, the Sydney Zodiacs. And it's behind them is the Southern Storm. So there's the Zodiacs. First boat finishes. Southern Storm behind them. But tracking behind them was Ride. Now, Ride will go round them. If not, they'll certainly go round them on time. And 6, the Brisbane Typhoons have been a bit of a mover. Really coming through. They've been very strong, the 6 boat. And not far behind them is the 7 boat, the Pacific Dragons. So really, they have not changed too much, those boats, but I think it will be, we're seeing the 3 and the 4 boat just about to go over the line. Southern Storm, and it'll be Ride.
Mako are keeping the same distance behind the 7 boat Pacific Dragons, so I think that's around the 12 seconds. The big mover, Yarra River Dragons, yes. Number 10. They're pushing through very, very strongly. Keep your eye on that. Put an asterisk next to it. And Tiawaka, they're right behind that as well. The boat number 9, DSA are just dropping back a bit. T Walker are coming down the outside. That's boat 12. They're working hard. Here are the Melbourne Flames. What about the rate that they've got going at the end of a 2 kilometre race? Boat number 14. They've got past the 13 boat, which is Komodo. It's a big push by the Melbourne Flames, but coming from way back, the Sunshine Coast, they're on the back of this as well. This is a big move. The back markers are certainly steaming through. That's the Flames finishing now, boat 14. And we look back to a couple of the unseeded ones now. Behind that, that's the ACDC in boat 16 and Powerblades in boat 17. That's boat 15 getting across the line, the Sunshine Coast. They stuck at the task. And well done to boat 6 too, the Brisbane Typhoon, I think it was. Or was that boat 5, the Sydney Tsunami? I'm not...
Yeah, then
it was quick to change.
ACDC in the home straight here. They've got about 100 to go, and tracking in behind them, I think it is the Powerblades. So, tricky conditions here. Every time we look across the water, we get hit with a flash of sun across the water. And then you've just got to readjust the eyesight. But thank goodness for the MySport Live pictures we have here. And that is 16 we've got on shot there. That's the ACDC. And they'll be a little bit out of it. They're going across the line now. And then the final one coming in will be the Powerblades.
Indeed. And we had Stephen out there with on the lenses, keeping a close eye on this. Who are the ones we should be looking at here, Stephen?
From where I was standing, and unofficially, of course, the crews to look at are number 12, Tawaka, 13, Komodo, 15, Sunshine Coast, and 14, Melbourne Flames. Now, those crews went across the line fairly close together. Flames were in front, and I think they may have just unofficially got up there. But look, I tell you what, 12, 13, 14, and 15 made huge grounds on the other crews.
And
yeah, they did indeed.
Yarra River Dragons were pretty sharp.
Yeah.
They were boat number 10. So we've put a few markers next to a few as we wait for these times to come in. Of course, all these times coming through are unofficial. There will be penalties and all sorts of things that need to be adjusted that come through, and we know that from the race before as well. But the unofficial times are starting to come through now, and Sydney Zodiacs were very good. They were the first boat around, and no one was able to chase them down. The Bunnies out in front. The Zodiacs, most impressive at 10:42. That might stand up for some time, I think. The Southern Storm, boat number 3, their times come through. 11:06, 99.
Right at 10:54.27. There was certainly a lot of bunching up on two corners, and you could see the crews having to back off to wait for the crews in front of them to go round. So it'll have an effect on some of them. Brisbane Typhoon, 10:33.41.
Yeah, very good run by the Typhoon. They go to the top of the tree for now. But you're right, with the challenges around corners, there will be some adjustments that need to be made. So these are all unofficial times. Don't put your hand in the esky just yet.
No, I've learned that over the last 5 days.
Pacific Dragons, 10:27.64.
Next hour or so might be different though, Bryce.
Where most hands will go into the esky.
Mako, 10.3187.
Pacific Dragon still the clubhouse leader, 10:27.
Yarra River Dragons,
Wow.
10:04.51. Now that'll be the time to beat for the back markers.
You're nearly going to have to go under 10 to beat them. They, of course, came out in the number 10 boat.
They made up a lot of ground past a lot of boats.
Tawaka, 9:56.71. And I think we're going to get faster.
I think you're right, Steve. And I know you're very buoyant about Komodo and the Melbourne Flames.
DSA 10:25.57.
So Tawaka, clubhouse leader at the moment.
We've got another time in. We'll wait for the page to flip.
There's Flames 9:38.01.
Now, who can get that? Can the Coasters, can Sunshine Coast run that down? I'm not sure.
I'm like you. I'm not sure.
No change.
Just all these are unofficial at the moment. The judge will be looking at the video.
Yeah, no medals handed out on our behalf.
Komodo have come in. Their time.
Third.
9:56.74. Look at that.
Wow. Just missing silver at the moment.
Unofficial, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
300th of a second at the moment.
Yep.
Those times. And in came Sunshine Coast.
Now hang on to your hat. Here we go.
9.4153. So the Melbourne Flames are still hanging in there.
They could start looking at the lid of the esky, I reckon.
Unofficially.
Unofficially, of course. Yeah, mark that down.
Yep. I
Yeah.
think all our back markers have...
Sydney Tsunami 11.3780.
Grab another bag of ice. Grab a couple.
And we've got one to go, or two to go.
Geez, they've had a good day, the Flames, haven't they? We're just about done here.
Waiting for those final times. ACDC's in there. And the Power Blades time we're looking for as well. So I think those times have come up.
Yep. There they
Power
are.
Blades 10.2515. So that's all the
That's all she wrote.
times in. And of course, naturally now we'll have the umpires and the chief official talking to each other.
Unofficial, Flames 9:38, clubhouse leader at the moment.
So we won't know those probably results until such time as we go to presentation officially. But there's certainly going to be some work done by the chief official in working out whether there's any time deductions or time penalties over the course of the 2,000 metres for the Premier Open 2,000 metres small boat.
All right, we'll be back very shortly for the final race, and it'll be the Premier Open small boat. We've got the Open Standard, and then we've got the Women's Standard. Yep, to finish off. We'll be back shortly with all the action.